Yeah, hi. Good morning to everyone. So, am I audible for you? Okay, thank you. So, let's start our session then. Okay. So, as part of our yesterday session, we understood array initialization also, how we are making the array initialization, and then how we are assigning the values to the arrays, how we are getting values from the array, how we are putting values inside array. These are all operations we understood. And apart from that, we understood yesterday one more loop called as for each loop or enhanced for loop. So it is enhanced of regular for loop. That's why it is calling as enhanced for loop or for each loop. So each representing each and every value. That is the purpose they are using a word called as each. Okay. So but the advantage of for each loop is you are not no need to write entire starting point, ending point, all these things, and as well as no need to write down the index also. So it will pick up always directly a value from starting value to ending value of an array one by one. But if you are going with regular for loop, we have to tell to the for loop from where to start, where it has to end, and how much increment or decrement should happen at a time. Those are all details we have to write manually. But this is all about every time only plus one increment, starting with the first value, ending with the last value. So there is no customization in this loop. So here you have a customization based on you can start from first value, second value, fifth value, 10 value. You can end at last value. You can end at before 10 values. You can increment at a time plus 2, plus 3, plus 4, based on the requirement point of. So these are all details we discussed yesterday. And let's see what we are going to discuss today is, yeah. So we created an arrays with respect to integer, string, all these things. But now this is all very simple with respect to integer, string, double arrays, all these arrays. But in a real-time application point of view, we can create arrays for the non-primitive data types also. So we are going to create arrays for non-primitive data types. So what is the point of non-primitive? Simply, non-primitive means a class. So the class means again either predefined class. Predefined means which are implemented by the Java language, or user defined class. User defined classes. So these are all called as non-primitive always. Non-primitive data types. So can we create or not? Can we create arrays with primitive data types or not? Sorry, non-primitive data types. Yes, we can create. So that means if I am having a class called as employee class or student class or product class, can I create an object with those data types? Means yes, I can create. So let's take a class and then let's create an array for the data type and how it is happening, what's happening internally. Let me explain it. So here what I will do, non-primitive point of view, non-primitive, and then so let me take a class called as product details. So class name is product details. So we are just making details about the product. Okay, so now see here, I'm creating some variables, private, sorry, I don't want to use private, you don't know about it. After that I will involve it, public integer ID, public integer sorry, string name. So, and then private, sorry, public something double price. This is my class and this is my three instance variables. So what I'm doing right now is I want to create an object of array. So yes, I can do that. And I will do one more thing. Public void print product information. So what is the method argument I will take here? It is. So I asked you to practice all these things earlier. So passing same class again as a method argument. So that means what I did here, the same, sorry, product details is the class. Again, I'm passing to the same method. So product details is the method argument in this case. So that means we have to pass always an argument of product details type to this method. So you can pass any data types as a method arguments. So now what I will do is sys out of product dot price product dot id product dot name product dot price. So what this method will do is this method will take always an object of product details, and from that object it will take id value, name value, and price value, and those are all will be printed. So in this case method argument is an object of product details. Okay, fine. Now what I'm doing in this case is, what is our requirement? Creating an object for the, sorry, creating arrays for the non-primitive data types. So I said we can create it. So first of all, what is the syntax for the primitive, non-primitive data types? Again, in this case, array is always array. The concept what we discussed yesterday and day before yesterday, concept is always same. So you can create one way is by using literal way, or second way is initialization. So when you will go for the first approach of array literal, when you are having the values ready, then you will go for the first approach. If you don't have the values ready, you know only maybe maximum size, whatever it is, then it's better to go with initialization. So assume in this case, first approach I'll go with that. Array literal point of view, maybe I'll use first approach. So then in such case, what you will do, you will use a syntax called as data type followed by array name equal to array values, array elements, whatever it is. Value 1, value 2, value 3, something like that. Elements, array elements, you will define as part of this curly braces. So this is a array creation. Now, in this case, data type is what? In our case point of view, product details. So that means now we are creating an array for the data type called as product details. The class name is the data type, product details. So here the point what you have to understand here it is something like whatever it is, products, I will take array name as products equal to, now in this curly braces, what values I have to store. So what I would like, what I can store inside this product details level. Okay, so if I created an array like this, then what is going to happen internally, and what I can store inside this curly braces level. I mean, what are the values in this case? So in this case, whenever you created string array, so what values you are able to store? String values. Whenever we created integer array, what values we are storing in the array is integer values. So if you are creating double array, double type values. If you are creating boolean array, you are able to store only Boolean values. If you are creating character array, character data type array, you can store only characters like A, B, C like that. So in this, but right now we created an array. So this is the most important thing here. What? We created an array for a non-primitive data type called as product details. Product details point of view, we created an array. So with respect to product details array point of view, what we can store is only product objects. So that means that respect to data type objects we can store objects. So we have to store only that respect to data type objects we can store inside the array. So we can store inside array here. So what you are able to store in this array means product details values means product details data. So that means nothing but you can create product details objects. Product details object. So you have to store only objects of product details. So nothing but objects of product details you can store in this case. Okay. Now same point of view with respect to do second approach also, if I created an array like this, product details, products equal to new product details. So here, see, if I am giving array braces, then it is becoming as array. So, and if I am giving product details and array representation, and I am giving here, I want to store five values inside this products array. So now in this case again, what you can do is means what you can store again. This is an array. How you are saying like array? How we are able to say array means it's all about square braces we have used, array braces. So that's why I can say like I created an array called as products which takes 5 array values. The maximum number of values is 5. So in this case again, what are the values you are able to store? What is the data type? Product details. When it is non-primitive data type, whenever it is a non-primitive data type, so you can store only objects of that data type. So objects of that data type. So that means again, in this case, what you are going to store means same point again, product objects of product details. Objects of product details. Now assume if I created student object, student array, student, I have a class called as student class. So and then I can create student array also like this. Student array like students information whatever it is, new students, class name is student, and then I'm creating here 60 something like that. So that means what is the point of it is I can store 60 student objects inside this class. 60 student objects. So that means you created an array with student data type. Here data type is product details. That's why you can store only product details objects. Here you created student object. So that's why you can store inside this student objects. So like that, when you created an array with non-primitive data type, so you can store always those that respective class objects inside the array. Okay. So the remaining all are common. Index, 0 starting with the 0, last index. This is all again common. In this case, the values of array is objects. When you are dealing with non-primitive data types, the values of array is becoming when we created an array with non-primitive data types. The terminology what we are using from day one onwards is more important to understand the concepts. When we created an array with non-primitive data types, then we can store respective data type or class objects inside an array. So the values of array is becoming only objects of that point. Now let's come back to our program again. So my requirement is creating an object of creating an object of product details. Okay. So can I create means? Yes, I can create. So see here. First create the object or you create the array. Product details is the class. P1 equal to new product details. So that means I created product one object here. This is what an individual object, but my requirement is sorry array of product details, right? So in this case, what I did as of now, I created an array, but not sorry, I created an object for the product details, but not array. So if you want to create an array, what you have to do? You have to use array braces and array name you can give anything, whatever you want. But generally meaningful is array is representing more than one value, right? Singular, plural, some English concepts we know, right? So if you are giving such a way, it will be looks good. So it's more than one value means you are representing in a plural point of view. So more than one value point of view, naming conventions things. And here it's all about you are saying like I'm going to create inside this five. I'm going to store total five array objects. So this is how you have to create an array. So array is always same data type, array braces, array name equal to new data type, all these things. So in case if you are by the time you are creating the object, you are having the sorry by the time you are creating the array, if you are having the objects of product details class, then you can create in the second approach also. What is the second first approach? I mean literal point of view also you can create. Like here you will create the object of product details classes, object names, references P1, P2, P3, P4 like that. The number of objects whatever you are having for this class, you can store all those things into this level. So I'll show you that one also. Now see here what I can store in this array. Immediately what will happen whenever this line is executed? Whenever this line is executed internally, what will happen means I said yesterday, immediately JVM will allocate a memory. Immediately JVM will allocate a memory, consecutive memory. That means look, okay. Yeah. So what it will do is how much, what is the memory array size is 5. So that means it will allocate 5 consecutive memory locations. Consecutive means one by one, next by next, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, total 5. If you are having 50, 50, 60, 60, 1000, 1000. So I'm not taking, so assume this value always as a larger value. 1000 records, 2000 records, 10,000 records, something like that. Then you will get the feel. So now what will happen immediately? Index. So array name is products. Okay, first the name will be given as products array. So the array name is products and the index starts from always 0. So that means index becomes 0, 1, 2, 3 like that. So in this case 0 is the first index and second one is same story guys. Only thing is now this time the array data is objects. But I'll give you one good example and then we'll close this topic. 4. So total 4. Why? Because you defined 5. So size minus 1, last index plus 1, these are all points are common again. Now what will happen whenever this line is executed immediately? I said immediately default values of the data type will be initialized. So what is the default value of this data type? Null. So for any non-primitive data type, what is always null for non-primitive data types. So except primitives, for every non-primitive default value is default value is always null. So that means what will happen immediately? Null will be stored always. First time because you are not initialized any values. Now similarly null Here also null. So here also null, here also null. Okay, fine. Because we are just created an array. So once array is created, this is all happens in the memory level. Continuously some memory locations will allocate. Index starts, index will be allocated based on the size. All okay positions are filled with the default values. Okay, fine. Next, if you are coming to our example again, what I said, we can store only objects of product details class inside this array. You cannot store any other values. For example, see here, I am trying to keep products of in the first index level equal to some value called as 99. It's not accepting. Why? The products data type of array is what? Product detail, but you are storing integer value. Similarly, if I'm creating here, so I mean I'm passing some string value. Again, what it is saying compiler, hey man, the data type is product details, but the real value you are passing is string data type. So you please pass the value or the element to an array is always belongs to this data type. So this data type means what I said, we can pass array of, sorry, object of that class. So now let's see what I am doing. New product details. So what I did in this case, or if you are observing the right hand side part, what I did, I created the an array by using new operator for the class called as product details. So that means in this overall right hand side point of view, what I'm doing, I'm creating an object called as product details. I'm creating an object called as product details. So yes, an object of product details and data type of array is also product details. So that is the point I said. We can store only objects of that non-primitive data type, whatever the array you created inside the array level. Yes, now I created object as well as I am putting into index number one level. Index number one level. So that means immediately what will happen in this case is once this line is executed, an object, okay, so see here, okay. So what will happen in this case is immediately whenever this line is executed, give me a moment. I don't have space, I can improve the space also. Okay. Immediately, this is all JVM memory only. Whatever I'm talking about, assume this entire white space has JVM memory only. So what it will do, whenever this, generally in Java point of view, what will happen whenever this line is executed internally. So whenever this line is executed, what is going to happen here it is, first it will always execute the right hand side part. So that based on that, what it is trying to do, it is creating an object called as product details. Okay, fine. And with respect to product details object, whenever an object is created, what will happen guys? Immediately all instance variables will be allocated with default values. This formula we know from variables onwards. So default values for the instance variables. I have total three: ID, name, price. So ID is integer. Default value equal to 0. Name equal to null because string data type. Price equal to 0.0 because double data type. So what happened? An object is created. So this we know that whenever you are using new operator and immediately an object will be created. And what is going to happen here it is this object reference is located is pointed to 0 or 1 index. 1 index. So why 1 index? Because you are very clearly telling to the JVM create an object of product details and store inside the array index of 1. So that means what will happen in this case is the null will be replaced with reference of the product object. So nothing but product only. See, it is storing reference means reference of that product object. Location, assume like memory location, whatever it is, you can consider. But ultimately, directly or indirectly, you are storing what? Product object only. So you are directly or indirectly storing product object only. So now in the array index level 1, what you are having, you don't have null. You have the reference of the product object. So that means now if I am asking the array, hey array, can you give me what is the value available in the index level 1, then what it will do is it will return you. So if you return like now product details p equal to products of 1, what you will get? If you return this line again, what will happen? Immediately right hand side point of view, what it will do is it will understand, okay, this guy want what is available in the products 1 level. I mean in the one index level. Then what it will do is it will return this array. Sorry, it will return, in this case, what it will do is it will return this object and stored inside a p, a reference level. So that means this overall, so that means in this overall products 1 point of view, what it is doing, it is going to the 1 index level and observing here there is no null and it is having memory location of real product object. Then what it will do is for this pre, so the p variable is pointed in the memory location level to this object. So that means now you are saying like system.out.println of p or whatever it is, p.id, sop of p.id, whatever it is, then what will happen? P is representing this time in the memory location level this object. So what is the p.id? 0. Similarly, p.name null. Price 0.0. So why you are doing all the things via p point of view, but p is got an object from the array point of view. So array index 1. So like that internally this is all reference management, guys. So internally this is all comes under reference management, null and 0.0. In case if you are printing p.name, p.price also, then you will get all these values. So this is the story will happen if you are assigning, here it is. Whether it is true or not, let's see. Whatever we discussed as of. So now what I am doing, I am getting the value back again. Whatever I stored in this case object point of view in the index level 1, I am getting it back again. So see here p equal to products products of products of I given 0. I given 0. Now understand what will happen. P I am printing. So what will happen in this case? If you are now in this case, I return this logic. So whenever you return this logic, what will happen? Products of 0. So immediately internally what it will is in the 0 index level, what is available? Null is available. So simply what it will do, it will point P to here. Simply it will do that. Okay, it is saying, okay, you want 0 location. Okay, let's go like that. It will point it to the 0 location of the array index. But what is the value available in this case? Null. So that means in the P level, P pointing to the what value? Null. But in earlier case, if you are doing, I mean, if you given one point of view, already something is there. In case if you are storing the value. So that's why then P pointed to that something object location, some other object location. But in this case, it is clearly null. So because you stored object in the one level, one level data is there, but you are getting data from the 0. 0 is still empty. So that's why you will get null. See, null. Okay, cool. Now, same point of view, I'm asking P equal to product products products of 1. Products of 1. So what will happen? Now you are telling I inside the p reference level I want an object which is located in the one index level. So now that means whenever this line is executed again in the p1 point of view, this story will happen. So nothing but you return same thing. I mean, maybe you return, no, not this story, this story. Yeah, this story will happen again same. So only thing is just you are saying like inside P you want production. So then what will happen? The P is pointed to the one location and one is already having pointed with the some real what Java object of product details. So that means it will not print null. It will print a memory location of the P. So whenever I'm printing P, so there is a concept available. Okay, I will. So let's see, I'm printing the P. So if you observe here what it will print, in this line number 21 null is printed. Now after that I pointed P to the some other thing. So now let's see what P is printed in the line number 25. If you observe here it is saying like now P pointed to an object of class called as product details in this memory location. So this will be called as, generally there is a concept of hash code available. We will discuss later. Class name at the rate hash code format. So when a reference variable and when a variable really holding an object, when you're really holding an object, see it's not only about arrays topic. Generally if you created product details p equal to, I mean something like product 1 equal to new product details, product details, product 2 equal to new product details like this. And if you are printing product 1 and product 2, what it will do is it will say like Java, I mean what it will print here it is product 1 point of view one object, product 2 point of view one more object, right? Total two objects you created here. So that means now it will print, see what it will print. Last two lines observe the output. So product details at the rate some memory location, some hash code value. Product details, some hash code value. So that means when these two hash code values are different means two different objects. That's what we did, right? We created two different objects. Now see here, product 3 equal to product details, product 3 equal to product 3 equal to product 1. What I did, product 1 level whatever available, I am just pointing to the product 3. So that means in the memory level, if there is an object created for earlier product 1 point of view, same thing even product 3 point of view also I am pointing to the same object now. But P2 product 2 point of view separate object. So that means now if I am printing again system.out.println of product 3, what will happen? Whatever the memory location printed for P1, same will be printed for P3 because both are pointing to the same object in the JVM memory. P2 is different. So whether it is true or not, see. This is all about simply we are knowing that internally how manage Spring, I mean how Java is managing the memory point of view. See here, the object of what is printed for the P1 point of view, same thing is printed for P3 because P3 is not created its own object. P3 is referencing the product 1 object. Product 1 created its own object, so a new object is created. But product 3 not created any object. Product 3 just pointing, referring, not getting the, okay, it's just referring to the product 1 point of view. So that's why here same object, here same object. But P2 point of view, different object. Product 2 point of view. So this is how when you are printing the objects, object references directly like this without any calling methods or variables and all, directly object reference like this, it will print always, okay, the reference pointed to which class object name, class name at the rate hash code value. That means simply memory location point of view. So this is the behavior generally we will see when you are printing only references of the objects. References of the objects. So this point probably we missed it earlier, but it's okay now. So this is the way you have to understand. Now let's leave it. I don't want to. This is very simple point. I discussed earlier. Just see here. Okay. So now P array point of view again. Product one pointing to the P like that. So what you can do? I'm saying like P dot ID. So yes, P dot ID means what will happen? P pointed here, right? Zero null price. So what? Zero. Similarly, I can print name price also. So 0 null 0.0 it is printed. So that means what happened? P internally pointing to this object. With respect to array index point of view, directly or indirectly it is pointed to this object 0 null 0.0 it is printed. Now I'll write one more object. See here. Product details P3 equal to new product details. Okay. And then P3 dot ID equal to P3 dot ID equal to 999. P3 dot name equal to, okay, so some mouse whatever it is, and then P3 dot price equal to product price equal to 2000 rupees or whatever it is, 999 rupees. Right. So this is the, so ID also I'll change it if you want 311 something like that. Okay. So this is the data I created now. Now what I did, I created an individual object called as P3 and for a class called as this one. So then with respect to these lines, what will happen in the memory point of view? An object will be created. There is no relation with the object as of now. I mean array point of view. So with respect to these lines, what will happen now? Immediately internally when line number 1 is executed, an object will be created called as and pointed to the P3 reference. And immediately all instance variable will be allocated with default values. ID equal to 0, name equal to null, price equal to 0.0. But after that, what will happen? When this is happens, when this line is executed, the whole story is this. After that, you are saying like in the next line, please replace ID value with 111. Then what it will do is in the 0 point of view, 111 value will be replaced. So 1, 1, 1. Similarly, null point of view, null value will be replaced with the mouse. You given mouse value. Similarly, price value will be replaced with the 999. So like this, an object is ready now in the JVM memory. Now after that, I am trying to say in the array called as products, products array of index products dot length minus 1 equal to P3. Something I did. Now what is happens in this case, what I am trying to say here it is, simply I am putting array into last index. Last index level, I am putting the array. So this P3 object. So I am telling to the Java JVM, put P3 object in the last index based on this, whatever I written here. Now what will happen? Whenever this line is executed immediately internally, so whenever this line is executed by the Java internally, okay, so it will observe what is the index you given. So nothing but you given last index. Length minus 1 is meant size minus 1 last index. So then it decided 4. 5 minus 1, 4 it got. So that means in the fourth index level you are saying like please refer the P3 object. then what will happen? The P3 object is referenced to this 4 index level. So that means now the null is replaced with the address, memory location, memory reference of P3. Memory reference of P3. So that means now in the array index level, 4 level, what you are having? Nothing but directly or indirectly, it is having P3 object. P3 object. So that means this object. So that means now this time this object is having data also. So simply it is pointing to this object. Now see if you are printing, now if I am getting object again from the array, I am asking what is the data available in the array index 4 level. Product details P4 equal to something like that, and products of what 4. Why I given 4? 4 is the last index, or you can apply same formula again here also. So you are asking the array now, could you please give me what is available in the last index array into P4 level? So then it will say like, okay, let me give you what is available. It will give you this object reference. So memory reference of object. So it will give, okay man, in the 4 level, so and so object location is available. Like that it will give this reference details. Then in nothing but this P4. Okay, based on this line, what will happen? P4 is pointing directly or indirectly. So your intention point of view, P4 means you are getting the data. So then in that point of view, this object is available. So that means directly or indirectly P4 pointed to this object. Because here the memory location is there, right? So you're asking P4. So from the 4 point of view, it will go here, it will check here, and it will say like this is the object available. So go and refer this object like that. It will give you the information. Now ultimately P4 pointed to what? This object. So if I am saying like P4.id, 111 will come. P4.name, mouse will come. P4.price, 999 will come. Like that, things will happen. So this is all you should know, guys. Please practice all these diagrams. I mean, diagrams in the sense not 100% is diagrams. Your analysis point of view, how when you're executing the program in the runtime level, how things are happening. So that analysis point of view, make sure these are all things. Sometimes a picture will explain many things. P4.id. P4.id, P4.name, P4.price. Now see here what will happen. See 0, null, 0.0. When it comes to what? P3, when I printed this one. Because I created an object, but I did not assign any values to the variables, and directly I put it into object level. So now you got this. That's why you got like. But this time what I did, I created P3 object, and then that P3 I put it into the array level, and from there I am getting the object again by giving some different name. Now, but indirectly it is pointing to the same object. That's why you got this one. Now I will ask you one question. Can you tell me P3 dot ID equal to 777 I given, and if I am printing P4 dot ID, what will happen? Is it going to print the old value 111 or the new value 777? I did updation on the P3 object level in this level. P3.id equal to 777 I did, but I am printing P4.id. 111 or 777 will print. What it will print, guys? What it will print? Simple. Whenever this line is executed, what will happen? It's all about line by line execution. That's what you have to think. Now, whenever this line is executed immediately, in the memory level, what will happen? Assume this line is executed, right? So you are telling like in the P3 object of ID variable level, update the value as 777. So then immediately what it will do internally is it will replace this 111 value of to the 777. Why? Because you are modified right now. But in this case, the index 4 is still pointing to the same location. So that means what is the point you have to observe here? It is there any modification is happening data of this object level directly or indirectly? Okay, I mean you are making any data modifications on this an object that is reflected here. So that means your P4 is pointing to what this memory location. That means this index. But this index is pointed to again this object. So that means directly or indirectly P4 is pointed to the same reference. So that means now it will print again, even though you are saying like p4.id, it will print a 777 only. So why the meaning, why the point here it is? It's all memory references. It's not like an object of P3 copy, private copy stored inside the index. It is stored as a private copy of an index, then what will happen? Then P3 is different, then index point of it is different. If you are making update at P3 level, it will not reflect at private copy level. So it's not maintaining the copy, guys. It's always a reference. So simply this is storing the location of P3 object. So when P4 point of view, whenever you are getting, hey, I want P object in this location in this index level, then array is saying go and refer the so and so memory location. There you will find one object. That is what your object. So then P4 is saying, okay, let me go there. Like that it is coming here. And P4 is always pointed to this object indirectly, directly or indirectly. So that means now if I am updating mouse to laptop, again P4 point of view also laptop only, because it is P4 also pointed to the P3 object only. P4 also pointed to this object. So this is how things will happen internally as a reference point of view. So there is a concept available, generally Java point of view we will not discuss, call by value, call by reference. So Java is always okay, worked on call by reference point of view. So we'll understand later. Now see here, it will print 111 or 777. Let's see here. Again 777 only. P4 point of I'm printing via P4, but 777 is printed. Why? The reason is whatever the updations happens here, it is indirectly. It is not maintaining any copy here. If it is maintaining private copy, then P4 point of it will bring always data from here only. But it's not. It's just maintaining the reference of object. So whenever P4 point of it is saying go on there visit, there something is there. There from there you can get the data. So if I'm modifying data again, P3 dot name equal to laptop, it's nothing but P4 also pointing to the same object means P4 dot mouse, P4 dot name if I said, then again I will get laptop. So like that internally this memory allocation will happen with respect to arrays point of view internally all these things. So what the overall concept you have to understand from this is an array index always maintains references of the objects but not a private copy of object. So that is what you have to remember. One point here it is. So when you created an array with non-primitive data types, non-primitive data type array, so that means internally what it is maintaining. So in such case, array will maintain, in such case, array indexes, index, array index maintain reference reference of objects, references of objects, references of object but not a copy of object, but not a copy of object. So that is that. Okay, so for example, that's what, assume I have a concept called as I'm maintaining all your addresses. So in this case, what I am doing, I want so and so person point of view. So I'm maintaining only, for example, student number one. I mean, one person is there like Dilip. So in this address book, I am maintaining only the Dilip address. It's not like Dilip address. I mean, this address is holded, is really located in this address. So I'm just maintaining Dilip address in this book. Similarly, some other person Suresh address. So that means what is the point you are making? In this address book level, you are maintaining all the other people address. Now, whenever I'm asking, could you please give me Dilip information? Then you will say like, okay, so he's not in the my location. So he is located in this address. Go there, you will find out the Dilip. Like that, you are giving this address location. So you are giving this address location based on the Dilip. If you are going and searching for Suresh point of view, then that address location you will get. So that means ultimately you have to go to that location if you want to find out the real Dilip point of view. So what is available in that location? So same point of view, story is same. So in this case, it's not maintaining the copies. The original object is located in the JVM memory, but it is always referring the references, not the copies. Not the copies. Now, for example, we created object here, right? Product details. I mean, earlier we created an object here. So if I'm making updations on this object, if I'm making something, some data I set on this object, so that will be always pointed to again P of array index because whatever the updations are happening on the real object, that is a reference to the array index level. So that means if I am getting again products of one means I will get always this object. So in this object, whatever the latest updates are happening with respect to data, everything is reflected with respect to again this index point of view what you are getting. So earlier you got null. So if I am making, for example, if you go to the exam here, here I created object, right? Yeah, I printed this products one. So in the one level, what you kept this new product details. So like that. Now see here what I am doing. Products of one, you got P equal to product of one, right? P equal to product of one. So that means nothing but internally it is pointing to this object. Okay. Now what I am doing, see here. P dot ID equal to something 999. P dot ID equal to mobile. P dot name I thought of giving. So okay, I'll change it variable name. P dot price equal to some value I given. So here I'll give string, name here. Now what will happen? From the P, you got the index of 1, right? So that means P pointed, this P pointed to this object. Now you said P dot ID equal to 999. P dot ID equal to 999. But P pointed to what? This object. So right? If you observe here, P pointed. So P pointed here, but ultimately again area is diverting here. So ultimately P pointed here. So now you are saying like P dot ID equal to 999. So now 0 will become 999. Similarly, null will become mobile. Similarly, 0.0 will become that 999999 point of view. The value will be modified. So now if I am printing the same information one more time after updation, see here what will happen. I'll make some separation. So this is all internal practical information. So see here, before saw nothing. As an individual point of view, you are storing directly into index level. Okay, created object directly storing. Now you got from the index as an individual object and then you printed the information. You got all the default values. After that you modified, then again you printed. So that means internally this is what. Now I will ask you one more question. So if I'm writing like product details, okay, something like product, whatever it is, prod equal to products of 1 I given. So now tell me with respect to this what will happen again. So this is what the line I written. So what you created one more variable now, reference called as prod, and inside that prod, you are trying to keep products one of object. Products one, I mean you are getting from the array of products index number one. So then what JVM internally do is it will take this information, and what JVM will do is, okay, you want from the index one, let's go like that. It is going here. And then it found some memory location here. Then it is saying, okay, prod, you are pointed to this object. So that means now even prod also pointed to this object. So now if I am printing prod.id, prod.name, prod.price, you will see 999 mobile, all this information. Now see here, I'll print it. So it is pointing directly to same object what you pointed P earlier. I mean it's simply based on the index. So that means index point of view, again even prod also pointed to same object. Now P is pointed to this, prod is pointed to this based on your logic what you written in this program. See here, this is also it is pointed same. 999 mobile point of view. So that is how internally references will be maintained but not the copies when you are dealing with the non-primitive data types. So you are clear now how things are happening internally when you are storing objects inside the array with respect to variables point of view or whatever it is. Say yes or no, guys. Yeah, so it's not one time you can understand. That's why anyway you are having access to recordings, right? So listen very carefully. So it's a very simple if you are thinking in a common sense point of view. I said one thumb rule in this case. Array indexes will not maintain copy of an object. Array index maintain reference of the object. So that means when you are saying like index, it will always point it to the real object. On that real object, in some other way, if someone else is doing updations, that will impact always, that is always dynamically updated into array point of view. Why? It's not maintaining the copy. It's saying like simply Dilip. See, Dilip. Okay, Dilip address. I mean, it's simply like saying like address. Go to that address. You will find out some content there. Use that content. By the times lot of updations are happening. Freshly again I'm asking the array, can you give me in the index one level what is having? So it is saying like I don't have anything, but I have address of that object. Go there, you will find out some content. So then whatever the latest content is available, based on that, that variable is also pointed to that one. I mean simply the variables pointed to that object only. So like that, you just start listening the one more time, make small example only like this, take a student object, whatever it is, and make your own analysis. It's more important when you want to get knowledge of in and depth what's happening, then you have to make sure all these efforts. Okay, so why I am explaining is this much in-depth details. It's all about practical knowledge. Okay, so let's, because as a developer, it's not about the writing. It's all about understanding how things are happening when you're executing the program, how you are making relationship between one reference to another reference, how things are happening. These are all things you should know. Now, for example, I'm calling a method prod dot print product information. So I'm passing again product object. So that means what I am passing product object to this method called as this method. Now what is there here? Method argument is product. But inside this product, what you passed? This one you passed. Prod object. So this prod means this object. So from the here you got in the prod reference level, this variable level, some object. So that object you pass it to this method. So that means in this case, what is available? This P4 is available. This is available. So this you pass it to the method argument. So nothing but this means it is pointed to this object. Now in this case, what I said, product.id, product.name, product.price means this object, right? This reference you passed, but it is pointed to this object. So that means you will get 999 mobile 999999 content. You will get it. In this case, you are calling the method by passing single object. What I passed? Single object. So that's why again, if you see here printing via method, I will write like that. Printing via method. So see here, you pointed object, print via method. So you are just pointing to, I mean, you in the method argument level, what object you received? We know method arguments. We discussed string, integer, all this point of view. Integer a comma, string, null comma, some, I mean, name comma, first name comma, last name like that. But this time I am passing method argument with class type, class name, non-primitive. That too, that means you have to whenever someone else is calling this method means print product information, they should pass always product object, product details object. So that's why what I passed product object only. So prod object. So it's a finally it's an object. So that object I passed here. So that came here. And based on that object, reference point of view. So what you passed p product reference. And then product is internally pointing to this real object. And then prod dot id, prod dot name, prod dot price is printed this information. Okay, so this is how things will happen. So please make sure lot of practice. It doesn't, you will not get knowledge within one day. So to understand all these topics when I'm working in the real-time projects itself, it took me more than 1 year, 2 years when I'm working in the real-time industry. So that means that much complexity will be there. I'm not saying that, but at least if you started today, out of 100%, you will at least understand 50%, 60%. So how things internally happening and all. So you can print it if you want. Sys out of product. What is received here, and you can print here also before passing here also sys out of what you are passing prod. So what you are passing here and what you are receiving here, both are same object, not just try to understand. You observe here, pass whatever you passed here, whatever received here, with respect to this, both are same references. It's all reference management. It's all reference management. Okay, so just take care of these things. Now let's move to the next topic. I mean arrays only. I'll take one more example with respect to passing arrays as a argument, method arguments, as well as a method is returning array of arguments. So can we do that or not? Yes. Arrays with methods. So I'll give you assignments again. Okay, so see here. Okay. So what I'm doing here it is public string array. So what I define this time, I'm creating a method with creating a method with return type of an array. So that means, so I'll write down arrays with methods, operations, something like that. So that means first point is what I'm discussing, array as a return type. array as a return type of method. Yes, we can define method return types as return types arrays also. Arrays are we can define. We can define methods with return type arrays. So what is the point of it is, let's understand. So very simple. See, if you given string here, that means what is the point? Get something like name or whatever you written. So here you define return type as what? String. So that means you have to return 100% some string value. So that's why what you will do, you will return something like, okay, Dilip Singh, I mean, whatever it is. But how many values you are able to return this? From this, how many values from this method you are able to return? Are you returning? Only one always. Only one always. So that means now whoever is calling this method, they will get always only one name. So that means, let's say here, this is a non-static method, right? To call the non-static methods, you need always object equal to new object. So I created object. So now see here, object dot get to name. So what is happens in this case? Immediately JVM will come to this method. It is returning string value. Yes, in the last you are using return keyword and it is returning string value. So then result will come here. Okay, string result will come here. So that's why you taken. Say it is returning, this method is returning string. That's why you take in string. So whatever the value came here, that comes here. So let's print here now. Result equal string result. Save it. So this is all we know that we discussed in the methods itself. Okay, so execute it, run as Java application. What happened? Dilip Singh is printed. Only one value. This is, you know that story, you know that. Simply JVM starts from the main method. You created object calling the non-static method. Whenever JVM calling this method, it comes here. So it is observing, okay, this method is returning always string value. So even it is returning string, then whatever the value it is returning, then that value is assigned back to this result variable level. And that result you are printing. That's why you are able to see the output of Dilip Singh. This story and all we know that. How internal execution and all we discussed in the method concepts level. Now my point is, if I want to return more than one value, so assume I want to return more than one value, more than one value. So what I have to do? So ultimately the method should return. So that means method should return more than one value. If it is one value, you define string and you return one value. But now my point is, this assume I have 10 15 methods, sorry, 10 15 names. I want to return everything at a time. Whoever is calling my method, whoever is what okay, whoever is calling the method, that method return always more than one value. So that means that method should define always which is ready to return more than one value. So what you have to do? Yes, whenever it is more than one value, the concept is array. More than one is nothing but, as of now we know a concept called as array. So what you can do is define an array public string. If you given string, what is her point? It is you are returning only one string value. But if you given array braces, that means you are telling going further, get the names method is returns how many values, guys? More than one value. So that means array of values. So that means this method is always returns an array of string values, an array of string values. Why you given array braces? Here it is. Okay, cool. Now let's return Dilip Singh again. Now what is the problem? Why compile time error? Why compile time error? The reason is, if you in this method when you created this method, you said you are returning only string value, one value as a, okay, literal, only one string value. That's why you are returning here. That's okay. But in this method creation level, what you promised, we are done like this method will return always string array. But you are returning is really an array? No, it's a string variable, individual variable. It's not an array. It's not in the array format. Simply I can say like it's not in the array format. It's simply in the a simple literal format, a single value format it is there. Where is the array format? So that is what the compile time error is saying, like mismatch cannot convert from string to string array. Single value of string to string array I cannot convert. So that means you have to create always, you have to return always array only. String names equal to, for example, I return like this. String array. So I created names. Now see here, I am returning return names. So what is the meaning of why the compile time error is gone? Yes, as per data type, what you defined in the return type level, what you said, this method will return always string array. Yes, you are returning what? Names. Names means nothing but what? String array only. So that means whatever we defined at method signature level, same thing you are returning again. So you defined string array and you are returning string array. So that's why the error is there is no compile time. So now if I am calling this method, what will happen? Object dot get names. If you see here, Eclipse is saying if you are calling get names method, you will get string array return type. If you are calling get name, you will get string value. So Eclipse is helping you. What is the return type by showing here? If you are calling that. Now I want to call get names. So it is returning what data type? String array data type. So based on that, what you have to do here to, it will return always an array of string array. So to hold that value also, can I create a individual variable point of view string names equal to like that? No. What is the problem? This method is returning an array. Simply it is returning an array. But you are defined a individual variable name. So how can I keep array into string level? In this earlier what you got an error, string you define, but you are returning one value. That means it is saying like I cannot convert string to string array. But this time also I cannot convert array to string point of view because you defined a individual variable point of view, but I am getting actually array. Internally, how many values are there? Whether zero you have, one you have, more than one you have, it doesn't matter. The syntax is more important. The syntax is more important. It is returning always array. Please define always array only. That's all. So that's why if you are defining individual variable level, then it will say you define individual variable, single value point of view, but it is actually not a value. It's an array. So that's why what you have to do, whatever the return type of this method, whenever you are calling this method, it is returning always string array, right? So define same here. This practice you have to do that, guys. I don't know, by the time you should have do already. See, if it is single value point of view return. I mean, you are receiving. If it is array, array point of view. So now print it. Now how to print values in the array? You know the story. For loop, for each loops, all these things. For example, I am writing the for loop here. So why I am taking string for each loop I am writing? Because the array is names is the array that belongs to string data type. So I am taking like n colon names and then sys out of n. So what will happen? It will start whenever JVM calling this method, it will get this result. And whenever this result is array result, so then you are iterating that array. So it will start from the first value. Okay, Dilip Singh. There is no second value, so it will come out from the for loop. It will come out. See here, this is Dilip Singh. Now, for example, array means you can define more than one value. So now I define something like Sham, second variable, second value, third value, I am going to define something like Suresh, and fourth value, something like I will define Dinesh, whatever it is. For fifth value, I define. So I can return more than one value now. So I can define something like, okay, So whatever it is, Hasina, whatever it is, something like that. So I define more than one value. I'm in the array. So I'm returning now. So that means now this array contains, when once this method execution is completed, this variable array contains more than one value. So now you are iterating that. Iteration story, you know that. See here, all the names came. So that means what we discussed here, it is array as a return type of method. So what you have to do, yes, we can do that. So whenever you created, see now I created with respect to string guys. You have to practice with the integer. I'll give you that as assignment. Please practice arrays thoroughly. It's more important to understand, to attend the interviews point of view, as well as to understand the collection framework. There is a concept called as collection framework. You will get it after some point of time. That point of view also you have to understand arrays. Not only that point of view. Array is a basic data structure. You will understand, right? Somewhere you will see data structures and algorithm, DSA. So when you are going to the DSA, first they will teach arrays only. So that means DSA is again a crucial concept. That is a different story, not from the regular Java programming language. That's a different standard. That is different story. But when you are doing the, at least in a regular Java programming point of view, or when it comes to the regular real time application point of view, but array is the basic data structure. So that's why please practice. So now whenever you are calling that method, so you have to call method like this. So this is how you can define. Now similarly what you have to do is, yeah, method argument I will discuss right away. Main method y and all we will discuss later. So arrays with method operations. Yeah, that is what we are discussing. So what you have to do is, if I'm not monitoring assignments means, it doesn't mean like you don't need to practice. Giving is more important. Okay, so what you have to do? Point number one, define an array, define a method, define a method with return type of integer, comma, one more array with one more method with double. So you can take int means marks, double means averages, prices, something like that. Your friend mobile number long. So you are collecting all, okay, something like get mobile numbers, long array mobiles equal to 88268125, like that, all your friend mobile numbers 10. So you can do like that. So that means all, if you are calling that method, you will get all your friend mobile numbers. If you are defining one more like your friend, something like what, names, friend names, get friend names, you will get all the friend names. So you want to get something like their ages, your friend ages, or their date of birth years, integer 1984, 1990, 1920, 21, something like that. So you can define with a number of examples. So you can define with long. Similarly, I don't need to tell. So prepare for all primitives. Simply it's all primitives. At least one method per one primitive data type. String I covered. So that is point number one. Point number two. One more assignment. Create an array with an object of student. Yeah, you can take student also, no problem. Student. So that means in this case, you have to take student ID. In the class level, you have to take variables like this: ID, name. So something your student marks, and their gender. Gender, take it as a single character. Gender, take as a character. So take these four variables and create 10 student objects and put those in an array, and then array. So and then after that, again what you have to do is print all students information print all students information via loops. Print all students information available in an array. So what you have to do? By using array, you have to print it. So this example I did not cover, but I will cover right away. I'll show you that one also. So see here, this is all about return type. Now I'm creating one more example. Class. Instead of student, I'm taking employee, but you can take as student. I said like employee ID, public integer ID, public string name, public double salary. Okay, so now you are familiar with the what? Constructors, right? So I'm doing one thing in this case. I'm creating a constructor. Source, from the Eclipse point of view, I'm creating the constructor. Constructor using fields. That means I can create an object by passing values directly to these variables, and those will be assigned to this variable. Actually, there is a concept available this. I'll discuss that later. Super also. So you don't take Eclipse help, type manually. So you can take employee ID, employee name. Don't take Eclipse help to generate the constructor. As a trainer point of view, to save some time I taken, but you don't do that. Type constructor manually like this. Employee salary. So ID equal to employee ID, employee name point of view, employee name, employee salary point of view. I said right, we will generally write constructors always to initialize the instance variables data. So now what you are doing, whenever you are passing values here, those values will be assigned to this instance variables. That is the point of constructor. Okay. Now I am writing one more method also, public void. Okay, so leave about the method. Now in the same class, I am writing public. See if you see here, employee type array. The return type is what? In earlier example, I shown for the string. This time I am showing for the employee. So get all employee something, whatever the method name you can give. Fine. So now in this case, the method return type is what? Employee array. So you have to return definitely an array of employee reference, employee array. So that means now for example, assume I have 5 employees in my hand. So that's why I'm creating an array employees equal to new employee. So this is we just discussed in the product information point of view. Just class name is changing. So I given size as 5. So that means total 5 employees I can store in this object. Now what I am doing, see here, employees of 0 at 0 index level equal to new employee, and I am passing value 1 comma one employee name, his salary is 10,000. So what I am doing in this case, I created an array and in the 0 index level I am keeping employee object. Okay, so now I am returning this employees array. What happened? You are promising you are returning employee array and you are returning employees variable. That is pointing to the employee array only, right? Yes. So that's why compile time error is gone. Now if anyone else is calling this method, what will happen? They will get always employee array. So inside that employee array, how many objects you are having? Only one object is there. So let me define main method also. So this is all non-static methods, right? So to create non or call the non-static methods from the static method, you need always object equal to new employee. Okay, I did not create a default constructor. You know the story, right? If you don't have a default constructor, can we create an object means? No. So you have to add always empty constructor also. Or else you have to create object like this always. This is all constructor topic. So I'm adding a default constructor also. That means zero parameterized, no data. So that's why I said please practice constructors, more important. So now see here what I'm doing. I'm creating an employee object and I'm calling the method called as get all employees. Object dot get all employees. So whenever I'm calling get all employees, what is the return type of this method? Employee array, right? Yeah, the method return type is what? Employee array. Just copy that, paste here, and take some variable name, all employees, whatever it is, like that. Now what you have to do? Print this, iterate one by one, iterate one by one, employee object, and print all the information. So I can take for loop or for each loop. Now in this case, how to write for each loop? You are dealing with which array? All employees array. So this means colon here. Now this array data type is what? Employee. If it is string, you take a string here. If it is integer, you take an integer here. But this time this is an array belongs to which data type? Employee. Employee. And you can take some temporary variable, I said like that. Now what will happen in this case? For whenever array started iterating, starts from the zero index. So then this overall object is pointed to this E variable level. Say now you will use that E here. Now again it will go to the next variable, next index, but next index is empty, 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 like that, right? So that's why I'll cover this example maybe again on Monday also. Okay, so don't worry, but you just try to understand. Now see here what I'm doing, sys out of E dot, contains what? An employee object. E dot ID, E dot name, E dot salary. So I know you will get some null pointer exception. What is that exception, and I'll leave it. So you got some null pointer exception. This and all we will understand later. For time being, what I can tell you is you are having 5 size, right? You define 5 size. Keep 5 values. Otherwise, you'll get null pointer exception. What is null and all? I'll tell you later. Null pointer exception we will understand later. So keep, you define 5 values means please keep all 5 values. Employee 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. So total 5 values. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. I'm just preparing the data. That's all. You can keep same data also. 5. So employee 2 getting 20,000, employee 3 getting 30,000, employee 4 getting 40,000, 5 getting 5,000, 50,000. So now what will happen? All employees. So what will happen in this case? All employees you are iterating. First this method will be called. That means this entire array will be returned to this all employees level, and you are iterating all employees. Then you are taking temporary variable E. So E is going to the first index. So that means this object will come. Then from that E pointing to what? First object. So that's why E dot ID. That means one value. E dot name, one value. I mean this one. E dot salary, 10,000. Okay. So then this is completed. Then what will happen again? E moved to the E in the E variable level, second will come. So that means this will come. This is pointing. Now E moving to from there to here. So that may 2 to 20,000. Now again this is printed, right? So then again it will come to the next here. Then again E move to the third position. Next, each and every value, first value to last value. So 3, 3, 30,000 printed. So that means printed, printed, printed. Now again it will go here, E pointing here. So E dot ID means 4 will print, name means 4 will print, salary means 40,000 will print. Now next, again it will check last value, no, it will go here. 5, 5, 5, 50,000 it will print. Now what E is trying to go to the next value. Yeah, by the time array is completed. So then it will come out from the for loop. All each and every value is covered. Now see here what happened. 1, 2, 3, all this. So what you understood from this is again an array with method return types. Okay, method array returning array as a method return type. That is what we understood, and how to print also. And I shown you putting directly object by creating by passing values to the constructor. I created an object. So this is also, please make a analysis diagram for this on your own. I can do, but please do on your own. I don't want to do that. Simply a high level point of view, within 1 minute I will do that, but you can do one thing. So you written this logic, right? So what will happen in this case immediately? An employee object will be created with the 5 index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then next what you are doing? 0 level, you are putting directly an employee object. So object number 1, object number 2, 3, 4, 5. And then again in the 0 index level you are pointing this object. That means there is no null. Second object, third object, fourth object, fifth object. So 0, 1, 2, 3 point of view. So this array name is employees. So then content wise, this is the content. So I'm not writing all variable names and all. So just I'm telling high level point of view. So this is what happened. Now if you are saying like I want employee 4 individually, employee 5 point of view, this data will come always. So here index is always about 0, 1, 2, 3 like that. So index always starts from the 0. So just make care of that 0 and then etc etc. One index and then followed by second and then followed by 3. 4, last one is 4. Total size is 5. Select it. So now these are all pointing this memory location indexes are no nulls because you initialized all 5 values with 5 memory size. So that's what. So this is how you can define a methods with the return type of arrays, and you can iterate an objects also by using for loop like this. So please practice all these examples. Very important. So what we will do in the next class is Monday. Probably arrays is completed. Just only small thing is pending. I'll discuss that. What it is? Passing arrays to the method arguments. The second point is we discussed only return type. Second point is passing arrays to method arguments. So this is what I will do in the next class. And then I will discuss why main method is having. Now it's time to discuss why main method is having string array args always. What is the purpose? Why main method is having string array? So that is what method argument. So even if it see here, main method is taking array argument. Similarly, I can define our own method. Monday I will show you this. Public something like void print all employee something, whatever it is. Now in this case, I'm passing employee array, employee type array. Argument is array now. Simply array. So what is the argument? Employee array. If I remove array, argument is only single object. If I am keeping array symbol, argument is employee array. So single object point of view today we discussed here. But if I want to inject, if I want to pass array of values to the method argument level, that I will discuss on the Monday. It's a very simple now. Simply you will call this method print all employees. Nothing much is there. So from the main method, wherever you will call, yeah, for example, assume you are calling from the main method object dot print all employees. So what value you have to pass? Definitely employee array object you have to pass. So you already have employee object. So I mean array, you are passing that. Now the same story is repeated again here. So now you can do whatever you want to do it. So here this time array name is employees. You are iterating everything. So that's all. So now again second time it is printed. If you observe here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means this information. So you are taking method argument as a array point of view. So try this one also. Until and unless you are not doing all this hard work, you will not get good knowledge. So please do. So that means what we completed, array as a method return type, passing array as a method return types also. Sorry, method arguments also. So what you can do is, as an assignment point of view, make array method operations with string data type, integer, char, especially char take, char also. Yeah, so one double. These four always try. These four always you have to try. So array method operations means one point of is method return type. I already given early, I mean in the above also. Second is pass same arrays to the method arguments also. Now on Monday, we will discuss why main method is having string arguments. What is the purpose of it? Why Java given always? Why they made it as mandatory always? We will try to understand. Okay, so is it clear now? That's why I told you guys, if you are ignoring the old concepts, upcoming concepts will become difficult. If you observe today, we understood method arguments, method return types, constructor. These are all old topics. Assume you are not practiced very well. I teach it very well, but you are not practiced. You forgot, maybe you ignored it, whatever the reason it is. Then how will you understand today's concept? If you forgot the constructor, you are not practiced very well, then you cannot understand what I am doing. If you forgot the method arguments topic, then you will not understand what I am doing. If you forgot the method return type rules and regulations, then you will not understand anything. So that means overall, you are not understand the arrays topic. It's not problem of arrays. It's problem of your old topics. You are not practiced. You are not remembered it. So that's why I'm telling you, whenever you are practicing things, allocate 60 to 70 percentage time on the current topic. That means maybe assume you need to practice 60 to 70 percentage on the current topics, arrays, all this. But allocate 20 to 30 percentage of time for the revision of old topics. What you are already completed so far, revise it always. Don't ignore anything. Revise it always. So this, if you have to make this formula always. It's not like, okay, Dilip sir is teaching arrays. I'll spend 100 percentage time on the arrays. Okay, at the moment you are good with the arrays. After 1 month, even when you are not doing the revision of old topics, then again you will become poor in the arrays also. So revision is more important. So that's why follow that formula, so that don't ignore always old topics. Revise it, revise it, revise it. Okay, so that's all for today. Let's connect on tomorrow.